Here is Henry, a frog with the wide, innocent eyes of someone who absolutely did not start the drama. Henry is the sort of frog who could shoot you in the head and somehow have you feel sorry for him while he does it. Poor Henry, Swift Peak's perpetual victim. These days, he can usually be found sipping an Aperol Spritz like he just discovered Europe and made it his personality. Behind the sighs and tragic little stories, his life is mostly chaos. A delicate mental juggling act of remembering which lie he told to which villager. Henry isolates his targets and destroys anyone who questions him. Then he retreats to the pond, looking deeply wounded. A terrible little frog, but on Swift Peaks, utterly fascinating to watch. This is Raymond, the big dog of Animal Crossing, the most popular villager on the island, despite looking like a middle manager who just discovered protein shakes. Raymond has charm, confidence, and absolutely no idea how hot he is. Which brings us to his best friend Henry. Raymond is currently telling Henry that he's just met someone he thinks he might marry. Henry smiles. Supportive, encouraging, but inside Henry's tiny frog brain, a full sabotage strategy meeting has begun. Because Henry cannot allow Raymond to find love. Raymond is Henry's emotional support human. And if this relationship survives, Henry might have to start manipulating someone else. Which frankly sounds exhausting. Let's take a look at one of Swift Peak's most stylish couples, Hans and Julian. Now, only a few short years ago, Hans was a single bachelor, thriving, living on the peaks like a man with a strict no-commitment policy. He has a love for après-ski and good lighting. Then there's Julian. Well, no one really knows where Julian is from. What we do know is that he arrived fully styled, slightly glowing, and entirely convinced that he was the main event. One evening, Hans found himself at Archer Summit, the highest point on Swift Peaks. So high, in fact, that the signal reaches places it really shouldn't. As Hans' grinder alert echoed through the mountain peaks, he knew this was it. Now they drift through Swift Peaks together like a couple who were specifically designed to make other people feel underdressed. Luxury spas, invitation-only parties, influencer events where no one is entirely sure what anyone actually does for a living. And they fit in perfectly, because on Swift Peaks, it is easy to fall into your lover era. Swift Peaks is a resort for the elite. Old money, new money, and Henry. Henry likes to give the impression he drifted onto the island on a wave of effortless wealth. In reality, his financial strategy was simple. Step 1, adjust Grand's will. Step 2, celebrate with a 30-year mortgage. Still, Henry has managed to maintain the illusion of success, mainly by marrying well. Mitzi von Dumpling of the Nook York Dumplings dynasty. There was, of course, a prenup, which means technically none of this is Henry's. But that doesn't stop him wandering around Swift Peaks like he owns the ski resort, sipping Aperol Spritz and judging villagers who are just trying to enjoy their beautiful lives. A remarkable little frog. Living proof that on Swift Peaks, delusion costs nothing. Ione is one of Swift Peaks' most carefully presented residents. She lives here in Swift Peaks with her husband, Static, and her brother, Filbert. A dynamic that, on paper, shouldn't work, and in practice, doesn't. Ione is what experts might describe as deeply committed to the aesthetic. She does not leave the house unless she is immaculate. Hair, perfect. Outfit, curated. Expression, neutral, but expensive. Even her casual look requires planning. approval, and, occasionally, a quick flight for Chris Appleton. Because for Ione, life isn't lived, it's curated. And what a life they live. Expensive restaurants, lavish holidays, a stunning home, and Filbert. Today we take a look at the Resident Complaints Department, run by Fauna and Eric. Another day, another queue, another day of Henry first in the queue. Henry would like to complain that his neighbor has purchased the same car as him. How dare they? Next, Caesar. Caesar would like to report a horrendous grievance. Henry has told him that Jeremiah is planning to name his puppy. Caesar. Sacrilege. Eric and Fauna secretly pour more brandy into their coffee. Next up is Dina. Dina would like to complain that she wants to take a flight to Swifty Bay, but Henry said that only him and Mitzi can go, because that is their thing. Fauna knows Henry collects vouchers from the Nook Times to go himself. She doesn't get involved. And this is what life is like in the complaints department, because only Fauna and Eric are able to see the pattern of calculated social warfare that Henry is capable of unleashing. No one else can see it because Henry likes to keep them fighting among themselves. This is how he prefers it. Not loud conflict, not chaos, just small fractures, quiet misunderstandings. A resort divided into manageable pieces, each one looking slightly away from the others. Because on Swift Peaks, it's not about controlling people. It's about controlling what they believe about each other. And for some, that is more than enough. Today we meet Tutu, a rags to riches story. To look at her now, après skiing with the Animal Crossing elite, sipping drinks that cost more than your rent. You'd swear she was born into it. She wasn't. Once upon a time, a much younger Tutu sat in school, dreaming of one day making it to Swift Peaks, a place of wealth, status, and people who definitely did not peak at the ski lift operator. But for Tutu, this was her dream. Until last year's Christmas party. Tom Nook arrived. Now Tom Nook, for those unfamiliar, is less a businessman and more a man who keeps company with a very questionable aristocracy. 3 bottles of Dom Perignon and 5 lines deep. Tom Nook gave Tutu a tip, a huge one. The kind of tip a man never truly recovers from. Not because it touched his wealth, but because it gave Tutu access to the upper elite. And her feral little perspective was just enough to start unraveling Tom Nook's carefully managed world. You gotta fake it till you make it. And she did.